Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about Glyceryl Stearate, and I'm going to talk about the qualitative and quantitative analysis of this excipient in pharmaceutical dosage form. This video is beneficial for people who would like to do the pharmaceutical reverse engineering and figuring out how much Glyceryl Stearate they have in their formulation. Well, first of all, what is Glyceryl Stearate? Glyceryl Stearate is the mixture of the palmitic and stearic acid reacting with glycerin, and there are at least three different types of these molecules. You could have the mono substituted or mono-stearate. You could have di-substituted, or let's say di-stearate, and you could have tri-substituted. Now, in case of mono substituted, we could have either palmitic acid reacting with glycerin or stearic acid. So there are two type of molecule. In the case of di-stearate or so-called di-stearate, we could have three possibilities. Either we have two palmitic, or we have two stearic acid reacting with glycerin, or one palmitic, one stearic. And in case of so-called tri-stearate, there are four possibilities. We could have three palmitic, three stearic, two palmitic, one stearic, or two stearic, one palmitic. So the Glyceryl Stearate or so-called Glyceryl Mono-stearate available in the market could be a mixture of these molecules. Now, the grades available, it is also called Glyceryl Mono-stearate 4055 EP, is actually a mixture of mono, di, and tri substituted, and the specification is 4055 for mono, 30 to 45 for di, and 5 to 15 for tri. Now, the NF grade, the specification cannot be less than 90% of mono substituted. And this mono substitute could be either stearic or palmitic. There are different techniques for the quantitative and qualitative analysis of this raw material in pharmaceutical dosage form. There is a HPLC with ELSC detector, or you could use HPLC with RI detector, or GC method, or other techniques. In this slideshow, I'm going to talk about the top three. This is the chromatogram of the Glyceryl Mono-stearate EP grade with the ELSC detector. We see two peaks around 4 to 6 minutes, which are assigned to mono substituted or mono-stearate, so-called mono-stearate. The first peak is palmitic. It is glycerin palmitic, and the second one is glycerin stearic. So you got a stearic acid attached to glycerin, and the first one is palmitic acid attached. The three peaks in the 10 to 12 minutes are the di-substituted or diglyceride di-stearates. The first one is the two palmitic reacting with the glycerin. The larger peak in the middle is one palmitic, one stearic, and the peak around 12 is two stearic acid attached to glycerin. So glycerin di-stearate, they're all three of them. Now, in the range of 16 to 18 minutes, then we have these tri-substituted, and we see two peak in the middle, and there are two tiny ones on either side. So with the ELSC detector, you can clearly do the qualitative analysis. You can figure out what grade you have, and you also can do the quantitation and figure out how much you have. The next slide is the NF grade, Glyceryl Mono-stearate NF grade, and we only see two peaks, which are the mono Glyceryl Mono-stearate, and we see very little of a di-stearate. The next technique is the HPLC with RI detector, and the parameters, if you're interested, are in the EP monograph. So all these parameters and how to do it, it is there. And because it is a size exclusion chromatography, the way that the molecules are eluting from the column is reversed, meaning that the bigger molecule will elute first. So in this case, we have the tri-substituted, the small peak around 13 minutes coming first, followed by the next peak, large peak around, I don't know, like a 13 and a half. These are diglycerin, glycerin distearate, and the last peak, which kind of look like a doublet, is a Glyceryl Mono-stearate. The resolution of these peaks are not as good as the ELSC detector, but they are good enough to give you some information about the grade that you have, and also you can use it for figuring out how much of this excipient you have in your formulation. And the next slide is the NF grade, Glyceryl Mono-stearate NF grade, that we can see only 2 peaks. The larger one is a Glyceryl Mono-stearate, and the smaller one is Glycerin distearate. The last technique is a GC, and in this method you have to do the hydrolysis first, meaning that you have to break off the fatty acid, and then you do the quantitation of how much fatty acid you have. In this chromatography, you can see that you can get a peak for the palmitic and the steric, and you could get very good information about how much Glyceryl Mono-stearate you have in your formulation, but this technique will not give you any information about the grade. And the references are the USP monograph and EP monograph if you are interested. And thank you very much for watching this video. Hope to see you in my next slides. Have a good time. Bye.